We're doing a test today of the Sanken Cos 11D and the Sanken CS3e Shotgun microphone, along with the DPA 4060. All the microphones are being fed through the Sound Devices Mix Pre 10. Channel 1 and 2 is the Sanken microphones, and they have noise assist plug-in at 3 dB noise reduction. The DPA is straight line, no adjustments. So we'll read from Beneath the Boom Pole by Patrushkha Mierzwa. Mental multitasking is an ongoing activity for a boom operator. With so much going on in the department and on set, you need some aids to help keep everything running smoothly in your head. First, the mental activity is to take some time imagining the movie as you read the script. Knowing what you do about the director, the DOP, and the genre of the script, you'll be able to imagine with accuracy what scenes will look like. This builds your filmmaking skills, and if you have any interest in being seen as a filmmaker, you may feel comfortable on set suggesting to a reaction shot or a particular shot that you envisioned that perhaps the director hasn't thought of. Of course, don't go blurting it out when you don't have that relationship with the director. Pay attention to building a rapport with them, and that may not be long until you've seen as a trusted resource and a valued contributor. Don't forget about the editor in seeing how the coverage is staged. You may be inspired to offer some options for them too. Contributing helps to become a better filmmaker. To memorize or not memorize the script. If it's television, I feel comfortable in saying don't do it. Television is known for last-minute changes. In fact, more than once we've shot a scene and later in the day, or even 2 days later, we were given dialogue changes for that scene. We didn't go back and shoot them. Television moves quickly, and the best way I have found to stay current with the work is to read the sides once or twice and then go with the flow. You'll get to know actors and understand who's prone to ad-libs and who's not, and whether the director allows ad-libs. The script supervisor may also have some insightful information about actors or dialogue changes in the rehearsals. This relationship becomes particularly important if directors do not let crew see the work before the cameras roll. Non sequiturs are problematic for everyone. A non sequitur is the next line of dialogue that doesn't logically follow the line before it. It could be the character changes the subject, or it could be another character comes in, and for whatever reason, doesn't make sense in your head as being logical. The why doesn't matter, and how does. I've tried a lot of different things, as you will, and some work and some won't. I've settled into realizing that it's a non sequitur for me, and them memorizing either the line before it or the 2 lines of the lead-in line of dialogue. Sometimes it's just a natural word that's in, and the last time that it's enough for me to jog my memory and remember that the next thing after this actor speaks is the non sequitur. You'll find your own way of dealing with dialogue, but it will probably take some trial and error. Just make sure until you get it down, maybe you keep your mic just a bit further away from the actors so that the pattern widens a little as you're covered a little bit better. Another method is used and appreciated by some who prefer to color code the dialogue using different color markers for each character. You'll just have to try everything and see what works for you. Maybe that's a hybrid approach, reading over the script, but if there's some dialogue, movement, or non sequitur that throws you, highlight that to help your brain remember where it is in the flow of the scene. Another tip for dialogue is maybe not to memorize all the dialogue at all. Maybe it makes sense to memorize the action, or maybe just memorize a word or phrase, because right after that, you know the actor is going to make a move. Some boom operators are more visual than auditory, but there's always a way to find tips and aids so that you don't overload your mental capacity. Another point to think about is how you want your sides, the pages of the script, to come to you each day. Many companies are choosing to save cost of materials and time by printing dozens of copies, but rarely do they shy away from printing them at all. You shouldn't feel as though it's an imposition to ask that you be on the sides list. It should never be expected that you have memorized the entire script or that you're prepared to work without having those words on set to refer to. Once you've decided that you want your sides, how do you want them? Full size, mini, sent to your phone? There are advantages and disadvantages to each, and it really comes down to personal preference. As you get older, know that it will be a personal shock when you realize your eyesight can no longer manage the minis. Other things you must remember are wild lines, pickups, and endslates. These three things are not part of the normal sequence of making a shot, and you may be used to not having to remember them. Sometimes something in a shot won't be workable, and the shot needs to be recaptured. But maybe the whole scene doesn't need to be redone. In that case, the director will say, "We'll just pick it up," or the DOP will suggest it. It's a small bit of work that needs to be put aside while the main shots are completed. Endslates can be particularly challenging because they usually come after a shot with intensity or effects or stunts or some other element that precludes the head slate. There is more emotion and more angst during those shots, even if they're not inherently dramatic. Try to remember to keep your pole in the vicinity of where the slate should be, and remember, and a memory aid is to give a look to the AC so that the two of you visually reminding each other to remain working until the slate is snapped. Even though both sound and camera are on the same time code, editors and anyone watching the footage likes to see and hear the slate snapped. The second AC will quickly call out sticks, or end slate, or tail marker to save the embarrassment from the department turning off the camera prematurely. Conversely, you'll sometimes find a camera department that is so focused on themselves that they are aware of no one else. For example, take the first AD calling for sound to roll, and then, without waiting to hear the sound department, camera will turn over the slate. Then the sound department must announce that they were not rolling for the slate. There's nothing worse than having preemptive e-capitulation. It's embarrassing for camera. Once you get enough experience under your belt, memorizing frame lines should come as naturally as any other invisible item. If you have moving frame line or the camera goes through focal shifts, sometimes it's only important to know the beginning, one or two middle points, and the end point, and not worry about the little bits in between. Besides, most operators these days don't have the experience to be absolutely frame consistent from take to take, so don't be overly concerned with the top of the frame line. Just be in the ballpark.